A little girl stumbled into the outdoor cafe on the cobblestone terrace, her small voice breaking through the quiet hum of business talks. "Please, someone help me," she gasped, clutching a wrinkled envelope. "My stepfather is handing me over to dangerous people." Her knees buckled. Before anyone could move, she collapsed. Every man at the table froze. The afternoon sun hung warm and golden over the terrace. 14 pairs of eyes turned toward the child lying on the ground. Men in expensive dark suits, with elaborate ink crawling up their hands and necks. Men who made people cross the street to avoid them. Shin Kang-dae, boss of the Black Phoenix, sat at the center. His tattooed hands rested perfectly still on the table. His sharp face showed nothing as he looked at the unconscious little black girl in a worn pink sweater at his feet. No one moved. No one spoke. Martin, Shin's lieutenant, dropped to one knee instantly to check her pulse. Shin reached down slowly and picked up the envelope that had fallen from her small fingers. He opened it. His jaw tightened as he read. A photograph. A price. An address. His dark eyes flickered with something cold and final. That's when they heard it, the rumble of an old truck engine. A beat-up pickup rolled into view at the cafe entrance, exhaust coughing black smoke. Then a sleek black luxury car pulled up behind it, polished and perfect. 2 doors opened on the truck. 2 doors opened on the car. Frank Malone climbed out of the pickup first. Dirty jeans, stained shirt, eyes darting around like a cornered rat. Behind him stepped Steve Holloway. 3-piece suit, gold watch catching the sunlight, the walk of a man who thought his money made him bulletproof. The little girl's eyes fluttered open. She looked up at Shin, terrified and exhausted. "My name is Zoe," she whispered, tears spilling down her brown cheeks. "He's taking me tonight. At the harbor. He's taking my mama too. Please. You're my only hope." Martin glanced up at Shin. Shin raised one hand, a silent command to wait. Shin stood slowly. He looked down at Zoe with an expression no one could read. "Who's taking you, child?" His voice was quiet, controlled, dangerous. "My stepfather, Frank Malone," she sobbed, pointing toward the truck. "That man, Steve Holloway. He made arrangements for me. For my mama. They're here to take me right now." Shin looked at the envelope again. At the photos of Zoe and a woman who must be her mother. At the words written in black marker, "Priority transfer." "Zoe!" Frank shouted, trying to sound tough. "Get your behind over here right now, you little." He stopped cold. 8 men in dark suits had turned to face him. Silent. Still. A wall of tattooed muscle and dead eyes standing between him and the child. Steve Holloway's confident smile died on his face. His eyes moved from man to man, finally landing on the one in the center. The one with the phoenix tattooed on his neck. The one whose presence seemed to suck all the air from the terrace. Shin rose to his full height. The envelope was still in his tattooed hand. His expression hadn't changed, but something lethal had woken up behind his eyes. "Gentlemen," he said softly, never looking away from Holloway and Frank. "It seems we have a problem." Zoe grabbed onto Shin's jacket with both hands and pulled herself behind him. Frank took a step backward without meaning to. "Do you know who I am?" Holloway tried, his voice shaky now. "I have connections, important people. If you interfere—" "Connections," Shin repeated. The word sounded like poison. He took one step forward. "Welcome back to Love and Shattered Bonds Stories. Before we continue, here's what I want you to understand. Shin didn't hesitate when a terrified child begged for her life. He destroyed monsters to save Zoe and her mother. All I'm asking is one simple action: hit that subscribe button. Justice deserves to be witnessed. If you're watching, it means you care about the innocent. So prove it. Subscribe right now. Stories like this remind us why justice matters. Subscribe to support stories that expose wrongdoing and protect the innocent. Don't scroll past, do it now. Thank you as you do so. Now, let's get right into the story. Martin's hand was on Zoe's wrist. He felt her pulse. Weak. Too weak. "She's dehydrated," Martin said quietly. "Starving. She's been running on nothing." Shin's eyes never left Frank and Holloway. "Water," he ordered. One of his men moved instantly. A bottle appeared. Martin tilted it to Zoe's lips. She drank like she'd been dying of thirst. Because she had been. "How long?" Shin asked her gently. "It's been days," Zoe whispered. "No food." He locked me in a hidden location, said I wasn't worth the food, said feeding me was a waste of money. The temperature on that terrace dropped 20 degrees. Frank's face went white. Holloway took a step back toward his car. "And your mother?" Shin pressed. "She's at home, asleep. But it's not normal sleep." Zoe's voice cracked. "Frank makes sure she stays asleep, every morning, every night. He forces her to drink something that keeps her under. She doesn't wake up anymore. He said she needs to rest for the trip." Martin's jaw clenched. He looked up at Shin. Their eyes met. "How long has he been drugging her?" Shin asked. "Almost a week," Zoe sobbed. "I tried to wake her up yesterday. She wouldn't move. I thought she was dead." Shin handed the envelope to Martin. "Read it." Martin opened it fully. Photos of Zoe. Photos of a beautiful black woman, her mother. Both had descriptions written underneath. Age, height, weight, hair color, eye color. Like cargo waiting on a dock. At the bottom, transfers only. A coordinated arrangement. Tonight, Harbor District, Pier 7. 11 p.m. "An arrangement," Martin said, his voice shaking with rage. "He called them an arrangement." Shin turned slowly to face Frank. "Where is her mother right now?" Frank's mouth opened. Nothing came out. "I asked you a question," Shin said softly. "My apartment," Frank finally choked out. "She's safe. She's just sleeping. You've been keeping her comatose for a week." "No, she's not comatose. I'm just keeping her quiet. She's fine." "Fine?" Shin's voice dropped to a whisper. "You starved an 8-year-old child and drugged her mother unconscious. And you're about to hand them both to this piece of trash." Holloway straightened his tie, tried to look confident. "Now listen here. I don't know what this child has told you, but I'm a respected businessman." "Martin," Shin interrupted calmly. "Check his phone." "What?" "You can't," Frank started. But Martin was already moving. Fast. Too fast for Frank to react. He snatched Frank's phone from his back pocket, unlocked it. His fingers flew across the screen. The color drained from Frank's face. "Boss," Martin said slowly, "you need to see this." Shin walked over, looked at the screen. His expression didn't change, but his hands curled into fists. "Read it out loud," Shin ordered. Martin's voice was ice. "Message from Holloway, 2 days ago. Is the merchandise ready? I want them both compliant for transport." Frank's response: "The woman is heavily sedated. The girl is manageable. Both will be ready." Holloway again: "Excellent. I'll have the yacht prepared. Keep them heavily sedated for the first few days. We can't risk any noise during the transition." The silence that followed was suffocating. "Keep going," Shin said. Martin scrolled. "There's more. Dozens of messages. They talk about offshore accounts, previous sales, a yacht called Persephone." He looked up. His face was pale. "Boss, they've done this before." Shin turned to look at Holloway, then Frank, then back at Zoe, who was shaking behind him. "Call the police," Shin said quietly. "Call Detective Wilson. Tell her to bring everyone." Then he looked at Holloway. "Your connections won't save you. Not from what's coming." Sirens wailed in the distance. Getting closer. 3 police cars screeched to a stop outside the cafe. Detective Sarah Wilson jumped out first. Late 30s. Sharp eyes. She'd worked with Shin before on cases that lived in the grey areas between legal and necessary. "Shin," she said, walking fast toward the terrace. "What do we have?" Shin handed her the envelope. "Human trafficking. Mother and daughter. The mother's drugged at Frank Malone's apartment right now. We have minutes before they move her." Wilson's face went hard as she read. "Address? 342 Morrison Street. 3rd floor. Apartment 3C. Wilson grabbed her radio. "All units, we need backup at 342 Morrison." "Detective," Shin's voice cut through. "By the time your backup arrives, she could be gone. Holloway has people. They're expecting a delivery tonight." Wilson looked at him, at his men, at Zoe still clutching Shin's jacket. She made a choice. "Go," she said quietly. "I'll handle things here." Martin was already moving. He pointed at 6 men. They didn't need words. They moved like shadows, toward 3 black SUVs parked down the street. "Wait," Frank screamed. "You can't just break into my—" "Shut up," Wilson said, pulling out handcuffs. "Frank Malone, you're under arrest for—" "I want my lawyer," Holloway interrupted, his voice high now, panicked. I know Harbour Commissioner Robert Hayes. I know Councilwoman Patricia Sterling. My attorney is Jonathan Cross. One phone call and this all goes away." Wilson snapped the cuffs on Frank first, then turned to Holloway. "You have the right to remain silent," she said coldly. "I suggest you use it." Back at the cafe, Shin crouched down to Zoe's level. "Listen to me carefully," he said gently. "My men are going to bring your mother back, but I need you to stay here with Detective Wilson. Can you do that?" Zoe's eyes filled with tears. "Promise? Promise you'll save her?" "I promise." Martin's SUV flew through city streets. Traffic lights meant nothing. They had one job. 6 minutes later, they pulled up outside a rundown apartment building. Cracked windows, peeling paint, the kind of place where neighbors don't ask questions. "Third floor," Martin said into his earpiece. "Apartment 3C. Breach on my signal." They moved up the stairs, silent, professional. Every man knew his role. Martin reached the door, listened. Nothing. He tried the handle. Locked. One kick. The door exploded inward. The apartment was dark. Smelled like old food and desperation. Clear left. Clear right. Bedroom found her. Martin rushed in. Kayla Malone lay on a bare mattress on the floor. No sheets. No pillow. She wore a thin white dress that clearly wasn't hers. Her breathing was shallow. Too shallow. Beside her sat a packed duffel bag. Martin opened it. Women's clothes. All the tags still on. All in Kayla's size. Makeup. A toothbrush still in the package. They were packing her like luggage. "Call it in," Martin said, checking her pulse. "We need paramedics now. And tell Shin we found her." Back at the cafe, Holloway was still talking, still name-dropping, still confident. "Jonathan Cross is the best attorney in the state," he sneered at Wilson. "I'll be out in 2 hours, maybe less. And when I am, I'm suing everyone here for false arrest." Shin's phone buzzed. He read the message. His face didn't change. He walked over to Holloway slowly, leaned in close. "They found your yacht," Shin whispered. "The Persephone. And everything on it." Holloway's face went white. "You should have stayed in whatever hole you crawled out of," Shin said softly. "Because now? You just made an enemy of the Black Phoenix." And for the first time Steve Holloway understood. Money couldn't save him from what was coming. But Steve Holloway didn't know that yet. At 2:47 a.m., the precinct doors swung open. Holloway walked out into the cool night air, free, his three-piece suit barely wrinkled, his Rolex still gleaming on his wrist. Behind him, his lawyer Jonathan Cross adjusted his own expensive watch. "Told you," Cross said smugly. 2 hours, just like I promised." Holloway smiled. That confident smile of a man who'd bought his way out of trouble his whole life. "How'd you do it?" Holloway asked. "Commissioner Hayes vouched for your character personally," Cross said. "Councilwoman Sterling's office released a statement about rush to judgment, and I called in favors from 3 judges. The charges will disappear by next week." Holloway laughed. Actually laughed. "That little girl and her mother," he said. "They'll be forgotten in a month. No one cares about people like them." He started down the precinct steps. His town car waited at the curb. Black, polished, perfect. His driver should be standing by the door, but the driver wasn't there. Holloway stopped walking. 8 men in dark suits stood in perfect formation around his car, silent, still. Every single one had a silver phoenix pin on their lapel. The pins caught the streetlight, gleaming like warnings. "What the—" Holloway started. Martin stepped forward from the group. He held up a set of car keys. Holloway's car keys. "Your driver felt unwell," Martin said calmly. "We arranged alternative transportation for him." Holloway's heart started hammering. "Where is he?" "Safe. Somewhere you'll never find him." A black sedan pulled up behind the formation. The door opened. Shin Kang-dae stepped out. He walked toward Holloway slowly, deliberately, like a predator that had all the time in the world. "Mr. Holloway," Shin said quietly, "congratulations on your freedom." Holloway tried to sound tough. "You can't touch me. I have connections. I have—" "Yes, connections." Shin stopped 3 feet away. "Commissioner Hayes, Councilwoman Sterling, Attorney Cross. Very impressive." He tilted his head slightly. "You made phone calls tonight, called in favors, used dirty money to buy your way out." Shin's voice dropped lower. "But you just made a mistake, a fatal one." "What mistake?" Holloway's voice shook now. You connected yourself to the Black Phoenix, Shin said. And we don't forgive, we don't forget, we don't stop. Holloway looked around, at the 8 men surrounding him, at Martin holding his car keys, at the empty street where no one would help him. What do you want? Holloway whispered. Shin leaned in close enough that only Holloway could hear. I want you to understand something. Your money, your connections, your lawyers, they're all going to fail you now, because we're going to dismantle your entire life. Legal, quiet, permanent. He straightened up, turned to Martin. Take everything, Shin ordered. His business, his properties, his bank accounts, his reputation, every single thing that makes him feel powerful. Martin nodded once. How far? Shin looked back at Holloway. His eyes were dead cold. Until he begs us to put him back in that cell, because prison will be safer than what's waiting for him out here. Holloway's knees went weak. You can't, this is illegal. Illegal? Shin almost smiled. You sold children. You drugged mothers. You trafficked human beings like merchandise. He turned and walked back to his car. Welcome to hell, Mr. Holloway. We'll be your guides. The 8 men didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there watching as Holloway realized the truth. His freedom wasn't freedom at all. It was the beginning of his destruction. On Wednesday morning at 8:47 a.m., Steve Holloway sat in his downtown office, mahogany desk, leather chair, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. His phone rang. Mr. Holloway, this is Rebecca Wilson from the SEC. We're launching a formal investigation into your investment firm. His coffee cup stopped halfway to his mouth. Investigation? For what? Securities fraud. We've received documentation spanning 8 years. Bank records, falsified reports, offshore accounts. I suggest you retain legal counsel immediately. The line went dead. Holloway stared at his phone. His hand started shaking. How did they? His office door burst open. Andrea Simmons, his business partner for 12 years. Her face was red with rage. You lying piece of trash, she screamed. Offshore accounts? You've been hiding money from me? From the IRS? Andrea, I can explain. No, we're done. I'm dissolving the partnership. Today. My lawyers are already filing the papers. She slammed a folder on his desk and walked out. Holloway opened it. Partnership dissolution. Asset seizure. Criminal referral. His phone rang again. Mr. Holloway, this is Martin Price. I'm withdrawing my account. Effective immediately. Martin, wait. Click. Another call. Mr. Holloway, this is Sandra Liu. I'm pulling my investments. Another. This is David Wilson. I want my money out. Now. Another call came. And another. And another. By noon, 4 major clients had withdrawn. Millions of dollars. Gone. By 3 p.m., his secretary quit without notice. By 5 p.m., every bank he called said the same thing. Your credit lines are frozen pending investigation. He tried calling Commissioner Hayes. Straight to voicemail. Councilwoman Sterling's office? She's unavailable. His lawyer, Jonathan Cross. I'm sorry, Mr. Holloway. I can't represent you anymore. Conflict of interest. What conflict? I just can't. Goodbye. At 7 p.m., Holloway went to his yacht club to clear his head. The manager stopped him at the door. Mr. Holloway, your membership has been suspended. Suspended? Why? Complaints. Several members are uncomfortable with your presence. What complaints? I can't discuss it. Please leave. Holloway drove to his mistress Danielle's apartment. He needed someone. Anyone. She opened the door. Her eyes were red from crying. Get away from me, she said. Danielle? What? My lease was terminated. Today. No explanation. Just evicted. 30 days. She looked at him with disgust. This is because of you. Whatever you did, whoever you crossed, I want nothing to do with you. She slammed the door in his face. Frank Malone had it worse. He'd been released on minimal bail Tuesday night. $500. Nothing. He thought he'd gotten lucky. He was wrong. Wednesday morning he went to a motel. Cheap place. Cash only. Sorry, the clerk said. No vacancy. The sign says you have rooms. Not for you. He tried another motel. Same answer. And another. And another. 5 motels. All suddenly full. He tried to get a day labor job at a construction site. The foreman took one look at him. We don't need anyone, the ad said. We're good. Leave. Frank's truck got keyed that night. Deep scratches. All 4 tires slashed. He called his cousin Tommy for help. Can't talk to you, Frank. Don't call again. Tommy, what? The call ended abruptly. He tried his old buddy from high school. No answer. His neighbor from his last apartment. Blocked number. Everyone. Gone. Just like that. That night, both men noticed something. Holloway was leaving his office building when he saw him, a man in a dark suit, standing across the street, just watching. Holloway looked away, looked back. Still there. He walked faster to his car. The next morning, a different man. Same suit, same silver pin on the lapel, same dead-eyed stare. Frank saw them too. At the gas station, at the grocery store, outside the shelter where he tried to sleep. Different faces, but always there. Never threatening, never approaching. Just watching, always watching. By Friday, Holloway counted 15 different men he'd seen watching him. Frank counted 20. They were everywhere, and both men realized the same horrible truth. The Black Phoenix wasn't coming for them. The Phoenix was already there. On day 4, Frank got a job at a warehouse, moving boxes, minimum wage. He didn't care. He just needed money. 3 hours in, the supervisor called him over. Pack your stuff. You're done. What? Why? Just go. Frank checked his phone. His bank account showed 0, completely empty. He called the bank. There are fraudulent charges on my account, hundreds of them. We'll investigate, sir. It takes 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks? I need that money now. I'm sorry. That's our policy. The call dropped. On day 5, Frank tried to sleep at the public library. Warm, quiet, safe. A security guard tapped his shoulder. Sir, you need to leave. I'm just reading. We've received complaints about you. You're banned from this location. Complaints? What complaints? I can't discuss it. Please leave now. He went to the bus station. Maybe he could sleep there. Catch a bus out of the city tomorrow. Same story. You're not allowed here. We've received concerning complaints. He tried a homeless shelter that night. Sorry, we're full. The website says you have 30 beds open. The worker looked uncomfortable. Not for you. I'm sorry. Frank stood outside in the cold. His breath came out in white clouds. He counted them. The watchers. 15 men in dark suits, different faces. Same silver Phoenix pins. 1 across the street, 2 at the corner, 3 near the coffee shop, 4 outside the shelter, all watching him. On day 6, 20 watchers now. Frank noticed something. They were rotating, different men every few hours, like shifts. This wasn't random. This was organized, professionally done. They never got close, never threatened him, never even spoke. They just watched. On day 7, Frank's hands started shaking. Couldn't stop them. He hadn't slept in 3 days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw them, standing there, watching. He tried getting another job. Day labor, construction cleanup, 2 hours. That's how long it lasted before the foreman sent him away. Someone called, said you're trouble, get out. On day 8, Frank snapped. He saw one of them standing near a parking lot. Young guy, dark suit, Phoenix pin. Frank stormed over, got right in his face. What do you want? Frank screamed. Why are you following me? Say something. The man didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at Frank with dead, patient eyes. I said say something. Frank shoved him. The man took the shove. Didn't fight back, didn't react, just kept watching. Frank backed away. His whole body was shaking now. That's when he understood. They weren't trying to hurt him. They were showing him the cage. The cage was already locked. No escape, no help coming, nowhere to run. Every door he tried closed. Every person he called gone. Every place he went, they were there. The only door left open was confession, and they would wait forever for him to walk through it. On day 9, Frank hadn't eaten in 2 days, hadn't slept in 4. His hands shook so bad he could barely hold his phone. He sat on a bench in the rain, soaked, freezing, broken. Across the street, 3 men in suits stood under an awning, dry, comfortable, patient. One of them checked his watch, like they had all the time in the world. Frank's phone buzzed. Low battery. 5% left. He stared at it, at the one number he could still call. The police. His finger hovered over the screen. They wanted him to confess, to tell everything, to break. The man across the street smiled, just a little, like he knew, like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. Frank's finger touched the screen. But while Frank was breaking, Martin was hunting. On the third day, at Martin's office, 3 men sat around a table covered in papers, bank statements, wire transfers, account numbers. "Follow the money," Martin said. "Holloway settled some people. Find out who." His financial team worked for 72 hours straight. They traced wire transfers through the Cayman Islands, through shell companies in Panama, through numbered accounts in Swiss banks. And they found the pattern. "Boss," one of them said, "look at this. Monthly transfers, same amount, same day. $10,000 to Harbor Commissioner Robert Hayes. Quarterly donations, $25,000 to Councilwoman Patricia Sterling's campaign fund. Retainer fees, $15,000 monthly to attorney Jonathan Cross." "He bought them all," Martin said quietly. "Every single one." But there was something else, something worse. A shell company called Meridian Holdings, owned by Holloway through 6 layers of fake businesses. And Meridian Holdings owned a yacht, the Persephone. "Where is it?" Martin asked. "Private marina, 40 miles up the coast, away from the city, away from eyes." Martin stood up. "Get the team. We go tonight." At 3 a.m., the ocean was black and silent. A speedboat cut through the water with its engine barely humming. 6 men in dark clothes, no lights, no sound. The marina appeared ahead. Expensive yachts lined the docks, millions of dollars floating in the darkness. The Persephone sat at the far end, white, sleek, beautiful. A single guard stood on the deck, smoking a cigarette, bored. Martin's team tied up to the dock, silent as shadows. One man approached the guard from behind. Quick, professional, a hand over the mouth, a pressure point on the neck. The guard went limp, unconscious. They dragged him to the speedboat and tied him up. "Move," Martin whispered. They boarded the yacht. Upper deck nothing. Luxury furniture, bar, entertainment system. Middle deck bedrooms, empty. Lower deck. Martin stopped. "Wait," he said softly. The walls looked wrong, too thick, too solid. He knocked on one. Hollow sound. "False walls," he said. "Find the release." 2 minutes later, they found it. A hidden latch behind a fire extinguisher. The wall panel slid open. What they found made Martin's blood run cold. A concealed holding area, deliberately hidden from view. Equipment used to confine people. Metal, strong, made for people. A locked medical cabinet on the wall. Martin smashed it open. Bottles of chemical restraints, IV equipment, large quantities of illegal medical supplies. "Keep looking," Martin ordered. They found the safe behind another false panel. Martin pulled out his tools. 3 minutes later, the safe clicked open. Inside, passports, 12 of them, different names, different faces, all women, all young. Photographs, the same 12 women, before photos, smiling, happy, alive. And a ledger, handwritten, dates, names, destinations. Malaysia, $45,000. Thailand, $38,000. Dubai, $52,000. 12 names spanning 5 years. But not all of them made it. 3 names were crossed out in thick black ink. Martin's jaw clenched. They never came back. One of his men found another document. A schedule. Future deliveries, names, dates, prices. Zoe Ross and Kayla Malone were on that list. "Photograph everything," Martin said, his voice shaking with rage. "Every page, every passport, every single piece of evidence." They worked fast. Cameras flashing, documents catalogued. 30 minutes later, they had it all. Martin looked around the hidden room one last time, at the restraints, at the medical cabinet, at the evidence of 12 lives destroyed. "Get this to federal authorities," he said. "Anonymous package. Make sure they can't ignore it." "What about Holloway?" one of his men asked. Martin's eyes went dark. "He thinks he's safe because he bought some officials. He thinks his money protects him." He looked at the ledger in his hand, at the red X's. "But the federal government doesn't care who he settled, and they can't ignore evidence this clear." He walked toward the exit. Holloway's world is about to end, and he doesn't even know it yet. 2 days later, FBI headquarters received an unmarked package. Inside copies of everything from the yacht, photographs, documents, the ledger, passports, a note typed on plain paper. The yacht Persephone, private marina, 40 miles north. Steve Holloway owns it. He's been trafficking women for 5 years. 3 are dead, 9 are missing. The evidence is all there. You can't ignore this. The FBI agent who opened it went pale. "Get me the director," he said. "Right now." But the FBI wasn't the only one getting answers that night. At 1:15 a.m., day 9, the police station doors crashed open. Frank Malone stumbled inside, filthy, his clothes torn, his face covered in dirt and rain, eyes wild with terror and exhaustion. The desk sergeant looked up. "Can I help you?" Frank's legs almost gave out. He grabbed the counter to stay standing. "I need to confess," he gasped. "Everything, all of it. Just put me somewhere they can't reach me." The sergeant's eyes narrowed. "Who can't reach you?" "Please," Frank was crying now. "Lock me up. Protective custody. Anywhere. Just keep them away from me." 10 minutes later, Frank sat in an interrogation room. Detective Sarah Wilson sat across from him, recording device on, pen ready. "Start from the beginning," she said. Frank's hands shook as he spoke. "I married Kayla 3 years ago," he said. "She had a life insurance policy, some savings. Not much, but enough." "Enough for what?" "For me to take." His voice cracked. "I didn't love her. I never loved her. I just wanted her money." Wilson's face stayed calm. "Professional." "Continue," she said. "After a year, the money ran out. I needed more. I met Steve Holloway through some business contacts. He said he could help me make real money." "How?" Frank looked down at his shaking hands. "He offered me a huge payout for the arrangement." That's what he called them, an arrangement. Wilson's pen stopped moving. "Called who?" "Kayla and Zoe." Frank's voice was barely a whisper. "An attractive black woman and her daughter, a coordinated arrangement. That's what he wanted." The room went silent. "He wanted to buy them?" Wilson said slowly. "Not buy. Traffic. He had criminal groups overseas who traffic vulnerable people who look like Kayla and Zoe." Wilson's jaw clenched. "Keep talking." "I started drugging Kayla 3 weeks ago," Frank said. "Kept her heavily sedated. I had to make sure she wouldn't wake up and scream. You tested dosages on your wife. I needed her compliant. Quiet. The plan wouldn't work if she fought back." Wilson stared at him with disgust. "And Zoe?" Frank's face crumpled. "I kept her isolated and hidden, barely gave her enough to survive, just enough to keep her alive. Holloway said not to waste resources on her. Said she just needed to be weak enough to handle. You starved an 8-year-old child. I didn't hurt her. I just didn't feed her much." "You starved her?" Wilson slammed her hand on the table. Frank flinched, started sobbing. "I needed the money," he cried. "I was desperate. Holloway said it was easy. Just deliver them to his yacht, make the exchange, disappear. No one would know." "The yacht," Wilson said. "Tell me about the yacht." "The Persephone, private marina up the coast. He has hidden rooms below deck. That's where he keeps them before shipping them out." "Keeps who?" "The women, the girls. I don't know how many. He's been doing this for years." Wilson leaned forward. "Names. I need names. Everyone involved." Frank talked for 4 hours straight. He named men in Holloway's network, criminal groups, networks, people who arranged fake passports. He gave bank account numbers, wire transfer details, offshore accounts. He described the yacht's layout, the hidden compartments, where the safe was hidden, everything. When he finally finished, the sun was coming up outside. Detective Wilson stood, walked to the door. Outside, in the shadows of the parking lot, Martin leaned against a black car. Wilson approached him. Her face was pale. "He gave us everything," she said quietly. "Names, accounts, the yacht, the network, all of it." Martin nodded once. "When the Phoenix is involved, the truth always comes out in the end," he said. Wilson looked back at the station, at Frank sitting alone in that interrogation room. "What happens to him now?" Martin's eyes were cold. "He lives in fear for the rest of his life, in prison, in general population, where everyone will know exactly what he did." He pushed off the car. "And Holloway?" Martin smiled. Dark. Final. Holloway's about to have a very bad morning. At 6:47 a.m., 20 federal agents surrounded the Persephone. Boats blocked the marina exits. Helicopters circled overhead. Armed agents stormed the yacht from 3 sides. FBI search warrant. Nobody move. The yacht captain tried to run. Tackled in seconds. Agents flooded the lower deck, found the false walls, found the hidden room, found everything. We've got restraints, medical supplies, documents. Safe is open passports, photographs, a ledger. Call it in. We need forensics. All of it. At 7:15 a.m. At Steve Holloway's penthouse, he was drinking coffee, reading the morning news on his tablet. Confident, relaxed. The door exploded inward. Federal agents, hands where we can see them. Holloway's coffee mug shattered on the floor. 12 agents swarmed inside, guns drawn. Steve Holloway, you're under arrest for human trafficking, conspiracy, racketeering, and money laundering. This is a mistake, Holloway shouted. I have rights. I want my lawyer. Your lawyer's been disbarred. You have the right to remain silent. They cuffed him, dragged him outside in his bathrobe. News cameras were already there, flashing, recording everything. Holloway's face went pale as he realized this wasn't going away. That same morning, Harbor Commissioner Robert Hayes held a press conference. Effective immediately, I am resigning my position. I deeply regret any appearance of impropriety. He took bribes and got caught. Councilwoman Patricia Sterling's office released a statement. I will not be seeking re-election. She recalled the election was coming and she'd lose. Attorney Jonathan Cross faced the state bar. You made transfers with a known trafficker. You used your position to obstruct justice. I didn't know what he was doing. You took $15,000 a month for 5 years. You knew. He was disbarred. License revoked. His career over. Everyone Holloway bought was falling. 3 months later, at the trial, Holloway's defense team sat him down. Steve, the evidence is overwhelming. Plead guilty. Maybe we can negotiate. No. Holloway's arrogance was still there. I'm innocent. We fight this. Steve. I said no. The trial lasted 2 weeks. The prosecution presented everything. Photographs from the yacht, Frank's confession, financial records, testimony from the yacht crew. The jury got the case at 2 p.m. They came back at 2:57 p.m. 57 minutes. On the charge of human trafficking, guilty. On the charge of conspiracy, guilty. On the charge of racketeering, guilty. On the charge of money laundering, guilty. Holloway's face went white. His lawyer put a hand on his shoulder. The judge looked at Holloway with pure disgust. Mr. Holloway, you trafficked 12 women over 5 years. 3 of them are dead. You destroyed families. You treated human beings like property. She leaned forward. Life in prison, without possibility of parole. All assets seized and distributed to a victim's restitution fund. You will never see freedom again. The gavel slammed down. Holloway screamed, No, this is wrong. I have money. I have... Guards dragged him away. Frank Malone's sentencing was faster. Life in prison for attempted trafficking, kidnapping, conspiracy, and aggravated assault. Your Honor, Frank's lawyer said, my client requests protective custody. He fears for his safety and general population. The judge didn't even look up. Request denied. Next case. Frank started crying. Please, they'll kill me in there. Please. But nobody cared. The guards took him away. At St. Mary's Hospital, private room, Kayla Malone's eyes opened slowly. The first thing she saw was white ceiling tiles, hospital lights, the beep of monitors. She turned her head. Zoe was sleeping in a chair beside the bed, her small hand wrapped around Kayla's. Kayla's heart broke and healed at the same time. Zoe? She whispered. Zoe's eyes flew open. Mama? She launched herself onto the bed, wrapped her arms around Kayla, sobbed into her shoulder. You're awake. You're really awake. Kayla held her daughter, tears streaming down her face. I'm here, baby. I'm here. A nurse appeared at the door, smiled gently. Welcome back, Mrs. Malone. You've been through a lot, but you're safe now, both of you. Kayla looked at Zoe, at her beautiful daughter, alive, safe. Frank, she asked quietly. Prison, the nurse said. Life sentence. He'll never hurt you again. Kayla closed her eyes. let out a breath of relief she'd been holding for 3 weeks. They were free, but someone else was still watching over them. 2 weeks after Kayla woke up, federal agents came to the hospital. "Mrs. Malone, Zoe, we're placing you in witness protection. New names, new town, new life." "Where?" Kayla asked. "Quiet town in the Pacific Northwest. Mountains, trees, safe, far from everything that happened here." Kayla looked at Zoe. "What do you think, baby?" Zoe nodded. "Can we start over?" "Yes," the agent said gently. "You can start completely over." They never attended the trials, never saw Frank or Holloway sentenced. They were already gone. 8 weeks later, their new home was small, cozy, a little house with a porch and a garden. Kayla was Nicole Johnson now. Zoe was Emily Johnson. New names, new life. One morning, a letter arrived. No return address, just a silver phoenix emblem stamped on the envelope. Kayla opened it with shaking hands. Inside, legal documents and a letter. The letter was simple. "You are safe. You are protected. The phoenix keeps its promises. Use this gift to build the life you deserve." The legal documents made Kayla gasp. A trust fund, $3.5 million, established in Zoe's name. Provisions for Kayla's medical care, therapy, housing, living expenses, a separate education account, full coverage for Zoe through graduate school, everything they'd need for the rest of their lives. Kayla sat down hard, started crying. "Mama?" Zoe ran over. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, baby." Kayla pulled her close. "Someone just gave us a miracle." The protection didn't stop there. Zoe started at her new school. 3rd grade. Every day, Kayla noticed the same woman at the coffee shop across the street. Different clothes, different book, but always there, always watching the school entrance. At the grocery store, a car would follow them home. Not close, not obvious, but always there. One day at the park, a stranger approached Zoe too fast, too aggressive. "Hey, sweetie, you look lost." A man in a dark jacket appeared from nowhere. "She's not lost. Move along." The stranger left immediately. The man in the jacket nodded once at Kayla, then disappeared into the crowd. Kayla understood. The phoenix was still watching. Years passed. Zoe grew up strong, smart, determined. High school graduation, valedictorian. That morning, a small package arrived. Inside, a silver phoenix pin and a note. "Your courage saved not only yourself, but your mother and countless others. Never forget that strength. SK." Zoe pinned it to her graduation gown. College, law school, top of her class every year. Zoe chose her specialty carefully. Federal prosecution, human trafficking cases. The cases no one else wanted, the ones that broke your heart. She wanted them all. On her first day at the U.S. Attorney's office, she hung something on her wall. The letter from Shin, framed. The shadow of the phoenix watches over its own. Always. Her supervisor noticed it. "What's that?" "A reminder," Zoe said quietly, "of the day someone saved my life." 10 years later, Zoe stood in a courtroom. Federal prosecutor now, experienced, fierce. She was prosecuting a trafficking ring. 5 men, dozens of victims, members of the jury, she said. These men treated human beings like merchandise, like property. They destroyed families. They destroyed lives. She thought about that afternoon. The cafe, collapsing at Shin's feet. The envelope. But they made a mistake. They underestimated their victims. They underestimated the people who protect them. The jury found all 5 men guilty. Life sentences. Everyone. Zoe walked out of the courtroom, checked her phone. One new message. Unknown number. "We're proud of you. The Phoenix." She smiled. They were still watching, and she was still fighting. For every Zoe who needed saving. For every Kayla who needed protecting. For every family torn apart by monsters who thought money made them untouchable. Zoe touched the silver phoenix pin on her lapel. "Thank you," she whispered. Somewhere in the city, Shin received a message. A photo of Zoe leaving the courthouse. Victorious. He smiled. Saved one little girl. Created a warrior. So, that was the story of Zoe, and how the ruthless Shin Kang-dae saved her life and her mother's. Shin didn't just save her life, he created a warrior. He destroyed the wicked so an innocent child could rise. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button. All I'm asking is one small thing. These stories of ruthlessness and justice deserve to be told. If you're still watching, you believe the innocent deserve protection. So prove it. Subscribe right now. Also, let me know in the comments, where are you watching from? I love seeing our community come together. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next story.